All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today at the 1855 Masterclass presented by Durham Region Economic Development. My name is Melissa Megan. I'm here tonight with Mr. Jesse Nestor on the guitar. We're going to play some country music for you this evening to get you ready for the star of this evening, Mr. Todd Stottlemyre. We're going to start off with a tune here. It's called Selfish Heart. We'll get you in that outlaw state of mind. If you're at home, feel free to snap along, clap along, and have a good time. Here we go. Well, I don't mean to be lonely, baby. Won't leave you in the dark. Listen, boy, what I'm trying to say is I got a selfish heart. I can't feel anything you're feeling. Just stop before you start. Listen, boy, what I'm trying to say is I got a selfish heart. You should forget my name. Go back the same way you came. 'Cause I know you're looking for love. You won't find it here, and I ain't the one. Don't wanna keep you guessing. It's just that way. I don't mean to be lonely, baby. Won't leave you in the dark. Listen, boy, what I'm trying to say is I got a selfish heart. I can't feel anything you're feeling. Stop before you start. Listen, boy, what I'm trying to say is I got a selfish heart. Time ain't on your side. I ain't here for long, move on, goodbye. 'Cause I'm only made one way. It's all about me, what can I say? Don't try to kiss me, honey. Just walk away. I don't mean to be lonely, baby. Won't leave you in the dark. Listen, boy, what I'm trying to say is I got a selfish heart. I can't feel anything you're feeling. Stop before you start. Listen, boy, what I'm trying to say is I got a selfish heart. Don't wanna keep you guessing. It's just that way. I don't mean to be lonely, baby. Won't leave you in the dark. Listen, boy, what I'm trying to say is I got a selfish heart. I can't feel anything you're feeling. Stop before you start. Listen, boy, what I'm trying to say is I got a selfish heart. Thank you. For those of you just joining us this evening, once again, my name is Melissa Megan, and this is Mr. Jesse Nestor. We're performing some country music for you this evening. We're performing all originals tonight. I'm a country soul artist located in London, Ontario, And I've been fortunate enough to be here for a couple years now, originally from Windsor, Ontario. And Jesse originates from London as well, but also lives down in Nashville, living the real country music life. So this next tune we're going to be doing is called Grow Up. This is a song that I was fortunate enough to earn an honorable mention in the Canadian songwriting competition for. And I wrote this tune with a wonderful artist named Beth Marie Anderson. So this is a tune called Grow Up. See a little boy looking back at me. I've held my tongue for far too long. Took some time, now I know that it's wrong. I wasn't made to be your mate. Hear me when I say that something about you makes me wanna roll like a stone till you're good and gone, till I can't feel you in my bones. Found out what it takes to be on my own. Drink from a wine glass, not a beer can. One day find myself a real man. Something in your touch makes me wanna grow. I'm tired of the circles that I run, holding on to a love that's gone. Now is your life, that's okay. Wanna live my own way. You kiss my lips and all I taste are the dreams that I'm not wasting. Something about you makes me wanna pull like a stone till you're good and gone, till I can't feel you in my bones. Found out what it takes to be on my own. Drink from a wine glass, not a beer can. One day find myself a real man. Something in your touch makes me wanna grow. Got a degree in jealousy, or the king of insecurity. I don't wanna hold your hand, that's not who I am. Gonna roll like a stone till you're good and gone. Chase my dreams down different roads. Found out what it takes to be on my own. Drink from a wine glass, not a beer can. One day find myself a real man. Something in your touch makes me, something in your touch makes me wanna grow up. Thank you. Well, this is an incredibly cool experience for me. As you know, as we're all going through right now, we're working our way through COVID and trying to adapt to, these new situations. And it's really incredible to see things like this 1855 masterclass that have switched to being virtual and that are affording, the opportunities to artists like myself to open up for incredible speakers like Mr. Stottlemyre. So I cannot thank Stephanie and her team enough for putting together this opportunity and asking me to be a part of it. It's very, very cool. It's also very incredible to see what 1855 is doing. I do come from a research background as well in my other life. I do hold a master's degree in research and
it's really quite incredible to see the different innovative things that they're working on and the changes that they're making in the tech community. So it's very cool to see that as well. I have one more song left for you this evening. This is a tune called Heatwave that I wrote with some wonderful artists, Beth Marie Anderson and David Boris. And I wanted to thank you all so much for coming out tonight, coming on here early to listen to me sing for you. It's been difficult to not be on stage for these last couple months, and I really appreciate having a stage of sorts and having an audience here to listen tonight. If you do want to connect with me, you can find me on all social media platforms under It's Melissa Megan. I'd love to chat with you. It's really cool to be able to experience a very different community and different audience than what I might otherwise be exposed to. So please, I'd love to connect. I'd love to chat with you. And thank you so much for coming out tonight. We have an incredible show lined up afterwards, so please make sure you stick around. This is Heatwave.
Sitting in my kiddie pool, who says wide awakes ain't cool? Not me. No, I got it made. First hot day since who knows when. Better believe I'm gonna spend all day hiding from the shade. My tiny red umbrella is all I got. There ain't nothing cooler than staying high. I'm burning for a heat wave, craving that golden haze. I'm floating, dipping, poolside sipping every day. Big comfort zone cliche, ain't afraid of no UV rays. Barefoot and buzz like a July rush. I'm burning, burning for a heat wave, burning for a heat wave, yeah. Well, the man was on TV, I swear he was flirting with me. He said, warm fronts moving in. Keep my cooler filled with ice, pull out my flotation device. It's time I take it for a spin. I'm burning for a heat wave, craving that golden haze. I'm floating, dipping, poolside sipping every day. Big comfort zone cliche, ain't afraid of no UV rays. Barefoot and buzz like a July rush. I'm burning, burning for a heat wave, burning for a heat wave, yeah. My tiny red umbrella is all I've got, and there ain't nothing cooler than staying high. I'm burning for a heat wave, craving that golden haze. I'm floating, dipping, poolside sipping every day. Big comfort zone cliche, ain't afraid of no UV rays. Barefoot and buzz like a July rush. I'm burning, burning for a heat wave, burning for a heat wave, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much again, everyone. Thank you so much to Stephanie and her team at 1855 Whitby for having me. Stick around. We've got a great show lined up tonight.
Wow, Melissa, that was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us tonight. And thank you for being part of this event.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. If this is the first time you're being introduced to Miss Melissa Megan, she's an incredible rising star and someone you should be sure to watch and follow. Not only has she received many accolades, she's mentioned the one where she's earned an honorable mention from the famed Canadian songwriting competition for that second song I think you sang tonight, right, Melissa? Grow Up?
Yes.
And that's amazing. And additionally, Melissa has been was selected for multiple showcases during the Canadian Country Music Association's Country Music Week in both Saskatoon and Hamilton. Congratulations, Melissa.
Thank you.
Melissa has shared the stage with many well-known music artists, country music artists, such as Thomas Rhett, the brothers Osborne, Brett Kessel, and Megan Patrick, just to name a few. Thank you again, Megan. We look forward to continuing to see where your talent takes you.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
No problem. I now have the honor of officially welcoming everyone to the 1855 Masterclass presented by the Durham Region Economic Development. I'm sure you will all agree with me that we are off to a fantastic start. My name is Michelle Ahrens, and I am the Director of Continuous Learning at Ontario Tech University. From programs in visionary leadership to specific tech trading skills, continuous learning is fundamental for professional development, including upskilling and reskilling of individuals within businesses and organizations, not forgetting our fabulous entrepreneurs. It is for this reason that today's event is one that is particularly close to me, especially with its message being of continual growth. As mentioned earlier, today we are welcoming Todd Stoddameyer here today with us. He was a key cog in the rotation for both Blue Jays World Championship teams back in '92 and '93. With a major league career that spanned 15 years, Todd pitched for 5 teams, including the Toronto Blue Jays, and, well, there were some others. I say that laughing. I'm laughing just because as a true fan and a Torontonian, the rest really don't matter, right? I'm just kidding, just kidding. Todd did pitch for the Blue Jays. He also pitched for the Oakland A's, St. Louis Cardinals, Texas Rangers, and then he finished off with the Arizona Diamondbacks in Phoenix, where he now lives with his wife and 5 children. Kudos to the 5 children. Got 2 of my own. During his career, Todd amassed over 1,500 strikeouts and won nearly 150 major league games. In the year 2000, Todd was awarded with both the Lou Gehrig Award and the Branch Rickey Award by Major League Baseball, which was given to a major leaguer for the exemplary contributions in philanthropy and community involvement. Following his retirement in 2002, Todd became heavily involved in stock market trading, and then went on to own his own hedge fund and was behind expansive growth of many multi-level marketing companies. As an award-winning speaker and author, Todd spends his time actively mentoring business professionals and companies on goal setting, overcoming challenges, and turning failures into successes with the underlying message to never, ever stop learning. You will each have the opportunity to ask some questions after Todd has an opportunity to speak, but while he's delivering his message, I encourage you to think about what you would like to ask him. For now, without further ado, from a Blue Jays fan that remembers celebrating in the core almost 30 years ago, to my time now spent spreading the same message of continual growth. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to present you Mr. Todd Stoddameyer.
Michelle, thank you so much. So kind. Thank you. I thank you for that introduction. I thank 1855. I got to tell you, as I was listening to Melissa, you have a new fan here in the United States. That was unbelievable. I started to feel a little guilty there for a second because you sang selfish heart and grow up. I was like, man, I hope this isn't directed towards me. Like, hey, Todd, you ever going to grow up? But Michelle, you mentioned my 5 kids, so I'll go ahead and start there just for a second. I have a 24-year-old daughter, just finished taking her MCATs, gone through college, is on her way to medical school. And I got to tell you, I'm so proud, and I'm proud of all my kids. But and then I have a 19-year-old that's going to be a sophomore in college. I have a 17-year-old that's going to be a senior in high school. The oldest 3 are daughters. The next one in line is my son. We named him Todd Jr. He goes by TJ. If I call him Todd, he tells me his name is TJ. He's 15 today. He's an avid athlete. So hopeful for him. And then I have a 5-year-old. And So I have kids that range from 5 to 24. And when I mention being 55 years old with a 5-year-old, and when I speak to audiences, everyone goes, "Woo." and the reason I tell that, and the reason I wanted to kind of touch on that is I want you to know who I am, and who I am is I don't quit at anything that I believe in. Now, some of you guys are going to get that later on with the 5 kids from 5 to 24 that I'm not a quitter. In any case, I'm so excited to be here. A lot of people ask me, they remember, especially the people in Canada. I love all the Canadians. I got to tell you, for me, for 7 seasons there, it was home. I felt the Canadian spirit. I had the Canadian heart. We were so grateful. I was so grateful, so thankful to play on those Blue Jay teams with all those greats that I call teammates, and to win world championships where we had the feeling that we didn't just, basically represent a city, and the city of Toronto, which is my favorite city in the world, but we didn't just represent a city. We were representing an entire country. And even though we came from around the world, we came from the Dominican Republic, we came from Venezuela, we came from Puerto Rico, we came from the United States, and we came from Canada. We all truly felt Canadian. We're all grateful for it. Great memories. If you look around my office today, you see you see a handful of the other things from the other teams, but you see mostly Toronto Blue Jay photos, teammates, and memories. So I'm so ever grateful. How did I get here? And people that remember my, I guess, emotions where I wore my heart on my sleeve. Anything could happen in the game I was going to pitch. There could be a brawl breakout. There could be a lot of things that were going to happen on the day I was going to pitch. And how did I go from that guy to where I sit today? And it really takes me back about 5 years. And I think it's important to kind of kick it off this way is my father, rest in peace, passed away a year ago, January. And he was my hero. He was my mentor. He's my best friend. And he wasn't just a coach to us, and he wasn't just a dad to us. He was truly, for my brothers and I, he was our best friend. And he was also our hero. And about 5 years prior to him passing, I was in Phoenix, Arizona, where I live with my family. My mom and dad live up in the Northwest and up there up in Seattle, Washington. And I was driving down the freeway, and my mother called, and while my father was in this battle of cancer, multiple myeloma, a 20-year bout of it, but on this given day, I got a phone call from my mother. I was driving down the freeway, and she said, "Todd, it's an emergency. You need to get to Seattle as fast as possible." I then got off the freeway exit, made a U-turn, headed directly for the airport. Called my wife at home. I said, "Listen, Dad's in trouble. Mom just called. She's frantic. She's panicked. And I got to get to Seattle." So as I raced for the airport, I asked my wife, find a way to get me on the earliest flight and get me to Seattle. So I got to the airport, pulled into the parking, got back on my cell phone. I said, "Do I have a flight?" She says, "Yeah, go to gate so-and-so." I race to the gate. I get on an airplane. I land in Seattle about 3 hours later. When I land in Seattle, I have no idea whether my father's even going to be alive. I race to the cancer center where he is now in ICU. And when I walk into his hospital room, he's running 105-degree temperature, slightly even higher, completely delirious, didn't know what month it was, didn't know the decade, and didn't recognize my face. And I got to tell you, at that particular moment, feeling a little selfish, where I walk in and it's not just my dad doesn't recognize me, my hero, my best friend. And when he didn't recognize me, for a moment, I was hurt, but then I realized very quickly, not to take it personally, that my dad was in grave danger. Crazy as this seems, that 3 days later, my father led our family out of the hospital. Here's what I would tell you. The doctors were in disbelief. the family, we were like, how could this be? And at that time, he was inspiring me like no other time. And even greater inspiration of when I grew up in Yankee Stadium, watching him be a pitcher and using Yankee Stadium as a playground, where all my dreams were born. At this particular time, 5 years ago, I was being inspired like I've never been inspired, watching this warrior fight for his life. And we got to his house, and he said, to my mother and father's house, and my dad said, Todd, you want to take a drive in the mountains? I said, man, I would love to. So I jump in the driver's seat of his pickup. He gets in the passenger side. We start taking a ride up there in Seattle, the Snoqualmie Hills and the falls. And it's, I mean, gorgeous. Cabins, wood cabins. It'd be like going north there in Toronto. And my dad says to me on this drive, here's what he said. He said, Todd, he said, someday, he says, you know, I might buy a cabin up here for my mother and I. And I was driving, and here's, I don't remember what I said to him. I just remember what I felt. And what I felt was like, Dad, I just want you to get through today. And what I realized was my dad was giving no power over his current circumstances. The only power he was giving, the only thing he was focused on was a vision for his life. And it blew me away like no other time in my life. I remember we got back home that night, we settled into dinner, and then it was time to call it a night and go to bed. And I went upstairs to the guest bedroom, and I laid there all night long, not able to sleep. And all I could think about is my father. And all I could think about is, how is it that this warrior, how is it that he's overcoming grave circumstances? And yet mentally, it's as if it's not happening because he's so focused on the moment, the present moment, and where he's going in the future. And I was like, how could that be? Because think about it. Think about how many times someone has said to you in your lifetime, they're having a bad day. And then sometimes we say to them, you think you're having a bad day, let me tell you about mine. But here my father is he's more than having a bad day. He's fighting the grave, but yet no conversation of it. The only conversation he's having is where he's going in the future in this present moment and how great this present moment is. And I laid awake all night. I laid in disbelief. The next morning, I worked my way back down to the stairs, and there's Dad sitting in his normal chair. And through the night, I was like, man, I'm going to write a book. And I thought to myself, I grew up in Yankee Stadium. I grew up with people like Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, Whitey Ford. Yogi Berra was my dad's first manager. I went to the stadium with him every single day. Yankee Stadium was my playground. It was a majestic place. I've had people like Cito Gaston, Dave Stewart, Tony La Russa. I've had people like Ozzie Smith, Ricky Henderson. I've had Hall of Famers around my entire life. Growing up with Hall of Famers, then playing with Hall of Famers, and all of these people, and having a front row seat to them, their experience and their greatness were the greatest teachers for me. But along the way, anytime I was in trouble, these Hall of Fame people in sport and business would come and help me. They would mentor me. They would coach me. And that night I laid awake at night at my father's house, what I realized was I've had so many people help me for my career. And I've used their information. I've used their teachings. I've used their mentorship and the coaches. And it was always for me to become a better version of myself. And I'm grateful for that. But I realized at this moment that it never passed through me. So when I walked down those stairs, I said to my dad, I said, see, because I made a decision that night, it's like the first half of my life was all about me. And I made a decision that night. I said, man, I'm going to make the second half of my life all about helping other people have 10 times more success than I ever had. And I said to my father, and sitting in the chair, I said, Dad, I'm going to write a book. And he said, Todd, you should. And I go, Dad, I didn't even tell you what I'm going to write yet. And I said, I'm thinking about writing about the lessons, about all the mentors, the coaches, the environment, all the greatness I had around me. It was like my whole life has been about like going to school with champions. And I got to draw on all of the experience of these Hall of Famers and these champions and these bright minds in business for me. And I said, I want to offer it to other people. So I wrote the book. Today I have a gift for you. I want you to download the audio book. It's totally 100% free. I don't want your money. I want you to hear about some of the struggles that I went through. And maybe you find yourself today in business in the middle of this virus. Maybe we find ourselves in a place where, hey, we're struggling to get by. And I would just tell you, I believe there's some great lessons in that book that I wrote, Relentless Success. Today, you can go to toddofficial.com. I want you to download the book, 100% free. I don't want your money. I just want you to get the message, because I was tired in my life of being the Dead Sea. Everything coming to me, but never through me. And it's my opportunity to then pass it along. It kind of leads me to where we're at. You know, here we are today, we're in the middle of a crisis. And, you know, my question today for all of you is, when we come out of this, because we'll come out of this. And I don't have any idea what it's going to look like when we come out of this, but I just know that we'll come out of this. And when we do come out of this, my question for you personally and professionally, will you be better or will you be worse? And I believe it's a very important question to ask yourself today. And based on whether it's going to be, you're going to be better when you come out of this crisis or worse, is it's going to determine and depend on how you think today, what you're focused on, and the actions you're taking. And what are you doing in the middle of this crisis? Are you playing victim? Are you that person that's saying, I'm having a bad day? Or are you focused on a vision, on a place you can go? And are you focused on things that you can do daily to begin to master, so that when you do come out of this crisis, that we're better because of it? And today we find ourselves all, maybe some of you are sitting down, maybe some of you are standing up. I'm sitting here in my office, and what I realized is that me, myself, where I reside in my seat, where you reside in your seat, and where we are today is, to me, and I believe, is based on 5 truths, ladies and gentlemen. The 5 truths. Which means your bank account is exactly where it should be. Your business, by the way, has abundantly customers, has incredible breakthroughs, or you're struggling, it's exactly where it should be. The neighborhood you live in, exactly where it should be. Your life is exactly where it should be, and it's based on these 5 truths. And here are these truths. Number 1 is how we think. How we think has a lot to do and has gotten us to where we are today. But it's not just how we think, it's how we feel. It's where our minds and our hearts are connected. So it's how we think, how we feel. Number 3 is the words we speak, and we all know words are powerful. This isn't new. You've heard this a million times. Our thoughts, our emotions, our words. Number 4 is our associations. Who do we hang around? And all I got to say is, thank goodness for 1855 to be able to reach out and bring brilliance together as a group. Because it's associations. It's the opportunity to learn from one another. And that is so powerful. Now, when I look at my associations through my life, I stood in the outfield grass in Yankee Stadium next to a Hall of Famer named Mickey Mantle. And I inherited that association from my father. And then I had teammates, you know, Cito Gaston, I mentioned Dave Stewart, John Oliver, Robbie Alomar, Tony Fernandez. Do you want me to keep going? You're talking about Hall of Famers. Those were my associations through life. And here's what I would tell you. You become like your associations. You become like the people you hang around the most. We've all heard it. It's become so cliche in our life. But what I want you to do is take the Facebook memes down and start applying who we're actually hanging around. Number 5, the 5th truth to we are where we are right now is all of the actions we've taken to get here today. Those are the 5 truths. The way we think, the way we feel, the words we speak, the people we hang out with the most. And then number 5 is the actions we've taken. That's landed us exactly where we should be. Now, the question is, are we ready to level up? And in order to level up, and in order to grow, in order to get better, in order to focus on those, means we have to change what we're doing. Because if we don't change what we're doing, all we're going to do is get more of what we have today. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Some of you might be doing great and you're looking around, you've climbed the mountain. Let me just caution you real quick. Make sure you look up, because there's always another mountain to climb. And it's always at a higher elevation than when you stand, because when you stop growing, you die on your feet. Let me say it again, because I believe it's so important. The day you become the master in your own mind, you become the know-it-all. The day you stop learning, the day you stop climbing is the day you die on your feet. In this virus, in this pandemic, in this where governments around the world have shut down economies and businesses and asked people to stay at home. What are you doing with that time? How are you getting better? Or are you just so busy turning on the TV, complaining and playing victim to this whole thing? There's a bigger virus going on right now. It's called negativity. There's a bigger virus going on right now. It's playing victim. That's a bigger virus than this coronavirus, by the way. And it also needs cured. And that curing has to do with thinking, developing, growing. Here's what I want you to know. When you pursue daily to become the best version of yourself, you become aligned with your potential, with your human potential. The day when you chase other things is when you become unaligned with pursuing your potential. In order to change, in order to level up, means we got to have goals, dreams, and targets. Now, the reason I said goals, dreams, and targets and I didn't stop at goals, because it's funny to me how sometimes I'll say to people, I'll ask them, tell me about your goals. And they're like, oh, no. You're the goals guy. I set those things every year and I give up on them by January 15th, and I've never hit a goal in my entire life. And then here's what happens. They start saying goals never work. Okay, what about dreams? Oh, man. Yeah, Todd, you were lucky you lived out your childhood dream, but that doesn't work for most of us. So when I mention dreams, it's like, oh, they go up again. The hands go up. The windows close. The door shut on me. So let me put it to you a different way. What's your target today? Where are you headed? What's it look like? And I'm telling you that you're going to have, in order to level up, in order to change, and in order to pursue the best version of yourself professionally and personally, is you have to have vision and clarity of a target or of where you are headed. See, I would bet today that after listening to Melissa, she probably has goals and visions of platinum records. I don't even know all the awards, so Melissa, forgive me. But platinum records, gold records, awards. I would believe that, but I would also believe that her pursuit is because of her love and passion and purpose of what she has found in her life, and she's found herself going all in for it. You see, you have to have vision and clarity of where you want to go. And when you have vision, ladies and gentlemen, here's what happens. You start to introduce yourself to this gravitational pull. This gravitational pull, pulling you towards that vision, towards those targets with clarity. Today, I want to give you just a handful of steps. Keep it very simple, and I want to get to a Q&A because I believe the best trainings are based on your questions and us having a dialogue. But if we're going to level up and we're going to pursue becoming the best version of ourselves professionally and personally, then step one is it's time to set a target, a dream, a goal. And once again, you have to have absolute clarity of what that looks like. But not only what it looks like, what's it feel like? I have a 4-step process to goal achievement, to dream achievement, to target achievement. Number one is we got to visualize, which means we have to create a mental picture of the outcome. Have to create a mental picture of this outcome. You have to create a mental picture and develop a mental picture of you achieving the target, the goal, the dream. What's that look like? Okay? Now, as we develop this picture, here's what else. I want you to be able to emotionally, with your heart, connect to your mind. As you create this picture, I want you to feel yourself achieving this goal. This is when it becomes powerful. Number 2, I need you to believe in that picture. See, because you're only going to perform to the level of your beliefs. You're only going to perform to the level of your beliefs. Now, I in a whole other trainings, guys, and I would love to sometime be able to come up to Toronto and be able to do a live event with you guys and spend a few hours. But I can absolutely teach you how to grow your belief system. See, because I had to do that also. I mean, could you imagine standing 60 feet, 6 inches away from some of the greatest hitters in baseball and have to believe I'm good enough to get them out? And I call it going into character for a short period of time. And as we go into character, what happens is because I see progress, and because you see progress in the character, you start to build belief that it's possible for you. But the second piece of this dream, of this goal, of this target is not only visualizing it, but believe it is possible. Number 3, I need you to focus on that picture every single day. This is simple stuff. This is simple. Can I develop a picture? Can I believe in the picture? Can I visualize it? Can I not only see it, can I feel it? Can I believe in it? And then can I focus on that every single day? Number 4 is you can't just focus on it. You can't sit on the couch. You can't turn the TV on, sit on your couch, hang out there all day, focused of this beautiful picture of achievement and you becoming the best version of yourself without the action. See, number 4 is taking enough action that nothing, and I mean nothing, stands in the way of you achieving that goal. Now I'm talking about integrity and ethics and morals towards that achievement. I'm not talking about the other stuff. But where you get to a mindset that is so battle-proof that nothing is going to get in my way of me achieving this. I want to share a story about visualization because I believe it's so important on going from where you are to where you're going. I believe it is so important. I was first introduced to this concept, and I mentioned his name earlier, by a guy by the name of Dave Stewart, 1993. He joins the Toronto Blue Jays. First day of spring training. First day of spring training, Dave puts his arm around me. He says, Todd, he says, what kind of season are you going to have? Now, I want to be fair and authentic. This is day 1 of spring training. Let me tell you where my mind was. Get my workout in Dunedin, Florida, and then join the rest of the pitchers on the golf course. We were thinking about our tee time. It was the first day of spring training. We're all kind of like hugging and this and that. The family's coming back together. Hey, let's get our workout in. Let's hit the golf course. That was where my mind was in 1993, the first day of spring training. Dave Stewart says to me, what kind of season are you going to have? I hadn't even thought of what kind of season I was going to have. It's the first day of spring training. Here's what he said to me. He said, Todd, I'm going to have a great year, but that's not going to be enough for us to win another championship. He said, Todd, I need you to have a great year. And I was like, wow. No wonder this guy was a 4-time 20-game winner with the Oakland Athletics. See, he came to spring training with a mission, and not just a personal mission, but a team mission. He then said to me prior to the workout, he says, hey, after the workout, you want to go on a run with me? And I was like, oh, I got a tee time. And he wants me to go run in Dunedin, Florida in the humidity? But this guy I had so much respect for. He was a mentor of mine. And I was like, man, he was an all-star pitcher. I'm a young pitcher. And I'm like, man, this guy just asked me to go. It was a compliment. And I was like, man, I'm going on that run with Dave Stewart. I told the other guys, I said, you guys are going to have to get someone else. I'm not going to be able to make the tee time. Spring training, the day is over. We go through the workouts. We've been through the conditioning, the throwing, do all the things that we do over a couple-hour period the first day of spring training. Me and Dave, we throw these, they're like vinyl sweat jackets, right? Headbands around our head, sweat jackets on, shorts, we're layered up. Walk out of the gate in Dunedin, Florida. We take a left. Start jogging down the sidewalk, go to the stop sign. We take a left. Boom, we're on a run. During this run, Dave never says one word to me. And I'm scared to death to talk to him. And one of the reasons I can't talk to him is because I'm already out of gas. And we're running and running and running and running and running, and we keep getting further and further and further and further away from the stadium. And I'm like, dear God, when is this guy going to turn around? Because we got to run all the way back. And he finally turns around, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness. We run all the way back. He doesn't say a word. We're walking through the gate. Sweat is pouring off of us. Here's what he says to me. He says, can I ask you a question? I said, sure, what's up? He said, what'd you think about on that run? I was like, don't forget, it's the way we think. It's one of the 5 truths. Dave said, what'd you think about? I said, honestly? He said, yeah. I said, all I could think about is how far is this guy going to run? And he laughed. He broke into laughter. And he thought that was funny. And as we're headed to the locker room, sweat is beading off of us. And I come up with the courage and I say, Dave, can I ask you a question? He says, yeah. I said, what'd you think about? He says, I'm glad you asked. He said, you see, Todd, on every stride, on every step, I was visualizing, seeing myself pitch against major league hitters, throw perfect pitches. I seen myself getting guys out. I witnessed myself winning games. You see, Todd, I'm going to have a great year, and I need you to have a great year too. You see, this guy was going through, he was seeing himself in major league stadiums throw perfect pitches. And I was like, wow, this guy's a lot different starting pitcher than I am. And at this time, I'm thinking, man, I have a long ways to go to catch up to this guy. Which then leads me to step 2. And step 2 is, and the next piece of this process to leveling up is, guess what? You're going to have to fight the enemy. You're going to have to fight the enemy. Who's the enemy? Let me tell you who the enemy is today for all of us. There's a thing called COVID-19, the coronavirus, that is playing enemy to our businesses and playing enemy to our lives. The question is how are we handling the enemy? I want you to know something, is that there are other enemies, more common. Fear is an enemy. Fear. Those are the made up lies. These are the things we tell ourselves. Made up lies. That's all fear is. But you see, if we don't fight this enemy of fear, we don't fight this enemy of the COVID virus, if we don't fight the enemy of other people's opinions, then here's what happens. Enemies will either paralyze us or propel us to take more action. It'll either paralyze our growth or propel us to get better. And at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, that's a choice every single one of us has to make every single day. What game are you going to play? Are you going to level up? Are you going to battle-proof your mind? Are you going to go back to playing victim? Are we going to play the poor me's? Listen, here's what I want you to know. I'm going to steal the excuse right now. I tell people all the time, I tell business owners, I said, I do not want to hear 1 year from now that you went out of business because of COVID-19. You're going out of business because of the choices you're making. You're going out of business because we're not working on getting better. We're going to go out of business because we're not focused on serving other people. It's time to level up. It's time to make the choices. The enemy, that enemy, once again, it's either going to propel or paralyze you. And by the way, it becomes a choice. Let me give you step 3 to leveling up. Step 3 is, I call them daily goals. So I got the big goal, the big dream, the big target. And now I got to break it down to the day and the daily goals. What are those daily goals? Behaviors. They're the behaviors. They're the things we do day in and day out. Let's not forget that consistency is the mother of mastery. So I'll say it again. All of you are very intelligent people, and you've heard that. The consistency is the mother of mastery. You've heard it probably a dozen times. I just want to make sure, are we applying what we know? Are we even applying what we know? Our behaviors become our daily goals. These are the few things, these are the handful of things that we need to master. And I call our daily behaviors. That someday, if we do them every single day and we do them long enough, they become habits. And then as we work on creating habits, our habits then create who we are. But the daily behaviors is the how-to. That's the how. That's how we achieve our big goal. It's by breaking the big goal down to daily bite-sized pieces. So I no longer have to worry about achieving the big goal. All I got to do is achieve my daily goals. Let me share with you a story that, and I'll bring it full circle back to wherever we are today. It was 1992. And I got to tell you, I was struggling in 1992 like no other time. I would go out as the starting pitcher, and here would come Cito to take me out of the game, sometimes in the 3rd inning, sometimes the 4th inning, sometimes the 5th inning. I've given up 7 or 8 runs. 5 days later, I go out and pitch, and here comes Cito to take me out of the game. I give up another 8 runs. I can't even get through the 5th inning. And this happened about 3 consecutive times. Now, at the time, my father is a pitching coach for the New York Mets. The New York Mets obviously are in the National League. We're in the American League. I call my dad, my most trusted advisor. I'm struggling. It's like I lost my mojo. I can't get anyone out. And I call Dad and I say, Dad, I'm struggling. And he says, I can see that, Todd. And I'm like, yeah, Dad, it isn't funny. And I said, Dad, I said, you know what's crazy? I said, Dad, when I make a good pitch, it's like these guys are getting hits. And then when I make a bad pitch, it's like they're hitting doubles and triples and home runs. And it's like, man, I can't get anyone out. And he says, well, Todd, he says, actually, you're not making many good pitches. And I'm like, okay. And he says, but he says, I have 3 things for you, Todd. And he says, if you'll do these 3 things, he says, you will dominate major league hitters. You'll dominate. I said, Dad, I don't need to dominate. I need to get through the 5th inning. He said, listen to me. I need you to focus on 3 things. That's it. And if you'll do these 3 things, you'll dominate. He says, now, in between your start, you have a bullpen session. He says, here's the 3 things. I said, all right. He says, number 1, I need you to stay back in your delivery. I go, stay back in my delivery. I said, I got it. I can do that easy. He goes, exactly. He says, number 2, he says, I need you to finish strong, which means every pitch, follow through, finish strong. I said, Dad, I can do that. I got that. He goes, exactly. He says, the 3rd thing is mentally, how we think. He goes, I need you to think down in the strike zone. He says, do you got it? I said, stay back, finish strong, think down. I go, that's it? He goes, there's one other thing. And I'm like, oh, of course. It couldn't have been that easy. He says, on the bill of your cap, Todd, I want you to take off your game cap. And in big letters in the bill, I want you to write KISS. I go, you want me in the bill of my game cap to write KISS? He says, yep. He says, you know what that stands for? I'm like, KISS? He says, yeah. Stands for keep it simple, stupid. And I'm like, okay, Dad. And then he says, do you know what keep it simple, stupid stands for? And I'm like, I don't know. He says, stay back, finish strong, think down in the strike zone. In between my starts, all I focused on was stay back in my delivery, be aggressive, high intensity, finish strong, mentally think down in the zone. 1992. My next start was against the Chicago White Sox in Comiskey Park in August. I didn't give up a hit until the 8th inning. It's the only hit I gave up in the game to Dan Pascal with a 3-1 count. He hit a double in the gap. I almost threw a no-hitter. I threw a 1-hit shutout. It might go down. It's probably the best game I ever threw in Major League Baseball. But hold on a minute. The 3 starts prior to that start, I couldn't even get through the 5th inning. It looked like overnight success. But it wasn't overnight success. You see, because I had been working thousands and thousands and thousands of hours in my career on what? Stay back, finish strong, think down. See, those 3 behaviors that my father gave me were not new to me. They weren't new to me pitching. They weren't new to my profession. I'd been working on this my entire career as a pitcher. See, what my father did was gave me 3 things that he knew I could do. And based on me mastering those three things, he had the belief in me as my coach, he had the belief that I could dominate. And because he had the belief in me, I had the belief in me I could dominate. What does this have to do with any of you? Here's what it has to do with you. Whatever industry you're in, I'm challenging you today to figure out those 3 things that you need to master so that you can dominate your industry. What are the 3 things that you got to work on every single day? Do them day in and day out and master. And as you master these handful of things, it allows you to dominate your industry. The 4th and final step is get a coach. I'm going to tell you right now, get a coach. My whole life I was around coaches. Do you know that I haven't accomplished one thing by myself? Not one. When I hear people, they say, Todd, I'm a self-made millionaire. I'm like, you're so selfish and self-righteous and stupid. Yeah, that's what I tell them. I'm honest with them. And the reason is because no one ever got anywhere by themselves. And I would tell you that for me, I grew up in an atmosphere in a clubhouse in Yankee Stadium. And I exchanged Yankee Stadium as a child, as an adult, to the clubhouse in Toronto. It was always about a team. And it was always about having coaches, mentors, working partners, accountability partners. You see, remember when I called my father, here's what my father told me. He says, Todd, actually, you're not making good pitches. When I thought I was making some good pitches. You see, but he also recognized I had no belief in myself. And on that phone call, my coach, my mentor, he gave me belief because he believed in me. See, what a coach will do for you is when you're in the heat of the battle, when you're working your company, when you're working inside your company, you have tunnel vision. A lot of times you don't have the perspective of someone else that could be standing on the sidelines looking down or in on everything that's going on. And you lose some perspective. And let me tell you what else a coach will do for you when you're struggling. A coach will pick you up. A coach will slap you when you need to be slapped. He'll believe in you when he's going to believe or she's going to believe in you. So if you want to truly level up, one of the steps you should do in the next 24 hours is go hire a coach. Go hire a coach for your company. Go hire a coach for your division. Go hire a coach for your life. People tell me all the time, Todd, it's not that easy for me. I can't afford it. I'm telling you, you cannot afford not to if you want to pursue to be world class. See, if you want to be world class, you need to get a coach. Let me leave you with 5 takeaways. Not from this talk, I'll just give you 5 things that I focus on every single day, and they might help you level up. And I would tell you that it's not my way or the highway. I was like, just try it. The shoe doesn't fit everyone the same way. So I'm going to give you 5 things as takeaways today, and then I'll go to Q&A. Number 1 is I'm going to tell you, develop a morning routine. Now, what I mean by the morning routine, I don't mean hitting the alarm clock and then sleeping in another 10 or 15 minutes. That is not a morning routine. If it is, you need to change that routine. If you're getting up at the last second, jumping in the shower, jumping in your car, racing to work, if you're a female and you're putting on stuff on your face on the way to work, we need to work on your routine because it's broken. If you're a guy and you're shaving your face on the way to work with the electric shaver, we need to call time out on that morning routine because you don't have one. I'm talking about a morning routine where you work on you. So for some of you, you might have to get up 1 hour earlier. I would tell you my morning routine consists of a 2 to 3 hour deal where it's all on me. I work on my mind, I work on my heart, I work on my fitness, I journal. I'm growing my mind every morning. Now, I want you to think about building a morning routine that you can achieve and start small. It might be as simple as reading 15 to 30 minutes in the morning. It might be as simple as meditating for 10 minutes. Your morning routine might be as simple as a 30-minute walk in the neighborhood. I'm just telling you, as you build morning routines, what it does is it builds psychology. See, here's what happens to you. You say, man, I've achieved something already, even if it's just a walk. And when you achieve things, you start to build momentum into production, momentum into psychology in the way we think. And here's what happens after the morning routine. What's next? I want to go crush it. But let me remind you, your morning routine is going to kind of, what's going to happen from your morning routine is then it's going to drive kind of what your day looks like. Now watch this. If you were to tell me, and I was able to study your days, I could pretty much tell you what your life looks like, because your day is nothing more than a miniature version of your life. So let me challenge you. What do your days look like? What are the behaviors? What are the things you're doing daily? Do you like where you're going? Or do we need to change direction? Number 2, I have 5. Number 2 is exercise 30 minutes every single day. I didn't say exercise 3 days a week. I said every single day. It can be as simple as a 30-minute walk. There is so much science behind a 30-minute walk. Do you know that they say that 50% of fatality type diseases can be you can offend yourself and keep yourself from 50% of fatality type diseases by simply doing a 30-minute intentional walk every day. Let me remind you of something. If you don't take time to be healthy, you're going to have to take time to be sick. Let me say it again. If you don't take time to get or be healthy, you're going to have to take time to be sick. Number 3 is water. Most of our body is water. Most people are walking around dehydrated. What does dehydration do to you, to your performance? No energy, lack of energy when we're dehydrated. Many people over 50, just so you know, their bodies stop telling them when to go get a drink by science. Now listen, I'm telling you right now, and I do these things. What I'm telling you right now, I do every single day. There's no days off. Half your body weight in ounces of water, drink that every day. Now I got to drink a lot of water. I got to drink 112 ounces of water a day. You can figure out what my weight is. Number 4, a day we don't grow our mind is a day not even worth living. I would tell you that reading 30 minutes every day is so important. Because why? Because don't forget our 5 truths, how we think. We need to grow how we think. And I would tell you to not only read things about your profession, read things outside of your profession. Number 5, and then I'll turn it over to Q&A, and I'm going to turn it over to my friend, Don. I close my day out every single day with 4 questions. By the way, not some of the time. I'm talking about I do this every day. Here it is. Here's the 4 questions. What do I need to do more of? What do I need to do less of? What did I learn today? And what am I grateful for? And ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you that if you'll intentionally be grateful every single day, I promise you it will change your life. Once again, hey, I would love for you to come to, just launched, we just did a refresh on my website. It's literally live right now, toddofficial.com. You can go there. You can download the audiobook for free. Don't buy the audiobook. I'm giving it away for God's sakes. I want you to have it. But at this time, I'm humbled. I'm honored that all the folks at 855 that you guys thought of me. I'm glad I could be here today. Someday I would love to be in person, and you can watch me put in about 10 miles walking the stage, pacing like a caged lion as I speak. But I'd love someday where we could all come together in person. But until then, hey, listen, just like Melissa said, this is our way right now. See, you got to re-strategize. You got to find different ways. You got to keep finding ways to level up. So what I tip my hat and to 1855 for making this possible, even though we're in the middle of a crisis, still finding ways for people to come together. So I want to say thank you to Stephanie and Melissa. You are phenomenal. I'm a fan. That was awesome. And to Michelle, thank you for the kind introduction, all 1855. And Don, I'll turn it over to you for anyone that's got questions.
Fantastic, Todd. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your personal and professional journey with us and for illustrating strategies that resonate for all of us and that we can apply to our own current situations. My name is Don Terry, and I'm chair of the Community Advisory Committee for Sport Durham. Sport Durham is part of Durham Region's Economic Development and Tourism Department, and we play a role in growing sports and the culture of sports in our region. We appreciate the importance of coaches and the impact they have on the diamond or on the court or on the ice, and also especially the influence and impact they have on our lives outside of those areas of sport as well. Between your dad, all of the teams that you played for growing up, your season, your 12 seasons in Major League Baseball, you've had a lot of coaches. You've had an awful lot of coaches, and those coaches no doubt have shaped your approach and are a testament to why you're such an expert and an advocate for coaching and mentorship and how it changes lives. I want to thank you also for sharing your 5 truths and the I think it was 5 actions at the end. I wrote them all down. I'm going to give those a shot for sure. Because I think if we take on those things, it's clear to me listening to you and with the success that you've had, these things can dramatically impact the direction of our personal lives and our business lives as well. And given the current economic climate around us, managing behaviors and maintaining focus are more important than they ever have been. Now that I know the folks in the audience will have some questions for you, everyone, what I ask you to do is to just drop a note in the chat section, and I'll do my best to try and keep up and answer those questions. While you're doing that, I have a question I wanted to start off with, Todd, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
I'm a big fan of Cito Gaston, and I'm wondering what it was like to play for Cito, but also what principles and approaches did you take away from that experience that you apply in your life and especially in your business career?
So, Cito was, first of all, Cito was like my Canadian father, and we were really, really close, and I'm just so grateful for him as a human being. And still aggravates me they don't put him in the Hall of Fame, the baseball hall, because he belongs there. I mean, he started as the interim manager and took that club to 2-time back-to-back world championships. Pretty impressive. But I love Cito Gaston, but Cito was a guy that was a true player's manager, and Cito didn't hold a lot of meetings. But when he did hold a meeting, I would tell you that you could have heard a pin drop inside that locker room. In 1992, actually, right before I threw that one hitter, we had a meeting at home in the locker room, and we'd had a lead, and we'd kind of given up the lead at that point, and a lot of the teams were starting to kind of all come together, and we were kind of squandered our lead, and we had a great club. And Cito came in, and he had a meeting. He said, "Listen, guys, just a few things." He said, "There's 3 things." He says, and if you guys can do these 3 things, you guys are going to win a world championship. But without them, the talent in the room is not enough. He says, but the talent in this room is second to none. He says, so if you'll take the talent in this room and you apply these 3 things, he says, we're going to win a world championship. And he goes, here they are. Number 1, you need to know yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses. And he said, I need you to do an honest reflection. Not, and the problem with athletes is we all think we're better than we really are. And you kind of have to feel that way to compete at that level. But he asked us to do an honest reflection of our strengths and our weaknesses personally. Number 2, he says, you need to know the strengths and weaknesses of every single one of your teammates. You need to know what you can expect from them and what they can expect from you. He said, and then number 3, he said to the team, you need to know the strengths and weaknesses of your competition. He says, and if you guys will master these 3 things with the talent in this room, we're going to win a world championship. And I got to tell you something. We went on a crazy run after that. And we came together as a team like no other time. And man, I'll tell you something that, there were a lot of gifted guys on that team, but I'll tell you this, at 7:05, when those lights were shining, that team came together as one, pulling same rope, same vision. It wasn't about an individual performance. It was about a team performance. And, but those 3 things, I got to tell you, is I've taken those things throughout my whole life, and it becomes a reflection. And there's so much power in reflection, because of reflection allows us to learn from past experiences. And I'm in the middle of writing a new book. Actually, it's going to come out December 15th. The name of the book is The Observer. The Observer is all about a reflection. It's about studying past performances. It's about knowing what you can and what you can't do. And it's based kind of on those 3 principles. So I've used those 3 principles. I teach every team those 3 principles that I talk to, amateur teams. My 5 kids understand those. All of the companies that I'm involved with, we all understand those 3 things. So Cito made not just an impact on my professional career as a baseball player, but he made an impact on me personally as a person, and he made an impact on my professional business life after baseball. So Cito holds a very, very special place in my heart. And, I got to see him this last winter at the Winterfest. And I got to tell you, it's just so cool. That's the only word I can think of. It's just cool sitting there and talking about some of those days, not how good we were, but the experiences and how we were a family, man. And it's just really, really cool. And that team was a team because of Cito Gaston, and everything rises and falls on leadership, and the leadership cap, goes to Cito on that for sure. So thanks for the question.
Excellent answer. Thank you. Kareem Bonner has asked for you to repeat your 4 questions that you ask at the end of the day. But I'm going to give it a shot so you can see that I was paying attention.
Come on, brother.
All right. So it's what do I need to do more of? What do I need to do less of? What did I learn today? And what am I grateful for?
That's awesome.
Excellent.
That's awesome. And I would tell you that, when you think of what do I need to do less of? So if you'll reflect at the end of the day, if you'll reflect and you'll look at your day, here's why that question is so important. What did you do during the day that's not going to help you get where you want to go? You need to do less of that. You need to make sure that what I'm doing daily, if it's not compounding into where I want to go, then you must not put that on your calendar every day. You need to do less of that. Now, I'm not telling people to wipe it completely out. I'm certainly not the guy to tell people not to take days off, weeks off, and this and that, because I believe in rejuvenation. I believe in reflection. I believe in re-strategizing and all of those things. I teach those principles all the time. The guy or gal or team that's working 24 hours a day won't work long. And I always tell people, I tell teams, I go and I tell CEOs, I say, hey, let's do a half day and accomplish a week's worth of work instead of do a full day and a half a day's work.
Right on, right on.
Yeah.
So another question is, what's an example typically of something that at the end of the day, when you're asking those questions, that you let go of, or that you're grateful for, or that you focus on?
Oh, so good. So I would tell you what, if you're going to be new to this, here's the challenge is, and you should make look, you should just start writing things you're grateful for. I'm grateful for my health. I want you to think about how many times how about this one? When was the last time someone said, I'm grateful the sun came up? I mean, how about I'm grateful for my last breath I just took. I'm grateful for the next breath I'm going to take. I'm grateful that I woke up. I'm grateful that I had a good day. I'm grateful that I struggled today for what the struggle will mean for me tomorrow. I'm grateful for our home, for our ceiling, for our shelter. I'm grateful for my shoes. I'm grateful for my socks. Listen, just get in the act of being grateful. You cannot believe, I don't have the time today, but maybe on another time I would love to come on and just come and do it. Just I'd be happy to do it, by the way. How being intentionally grateful changed my life, and how the face of gratefulness showed up during a tragic time for me. And it was when I had my left hand on my father's heart and my right hand on his head, when he took his last breath, that I was sad, but I was grateful. I was grateful he was my father. I was grateful he left a legacy. I had the face of gratefulness show up where you think it wouldn't show up. And as we intentionally do it every day, and as it becomes a part of your life, you're not going to believe how, look, I was an angry pitcher for half of my career. You know, it's hard. It's funny, but it's hard for me to get mad today. I'm not saying I'm perfect, because I'm a long ways from that. I'm so unfinished. But I got to tell you something. When I look and I'm in some of the most challenging times, I'm finding gratefulness keeps showing up. Look, instead of, some people say, man, I have to. I say, no, we get to. Oh, I have to go through this struggle. Man, I get to go through this struggle. How about when you start being grateful for the struggle? Now watch this. Be grateful for your home, for your finances. Doesn't matter what they look like. Just be grateful for where they're at. And as we're grateful today, the things we're grateful for today keep showing up tomorrow. That's why I'm saying be grateful for the lesson, because you're growing. You're getting better. You're getting closer. So I would start by being grateful. Now, look, when you get to a point where you're stuck, and I would tell you, keep writing. Sometimes I write a whole page. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for my walk. I'm grateful for my dogs. I'm grateful for dinner. I'm grateful for the time I had with my son out on the baseball field. I'm grateful for the weather. Hey, I'm grateful we got to take a vacation together. Hey, I'm grateful for my family's healthy. I'm grateful for a home. I'm grateful for business opportunity. There might not be any business opportunities. I'm grateful for business opportunities. Watch how it opens you up. And then when you get to a point of writing the things you're grateful for every single day, when you get to a place you're stuck, close your journal up. And here's one of the things I forgot. Make it the last thing you do before you get in bed, and watch how well you start sleeping. Whoo! And sleep, by the way, sleep, 7.5 hours of sleep is a high performance tactic.
I have a question here from my friend Sue Sutcliffe, who wonders, beside your dad, who was your favorite coach and why?
Well, listen, Cito has to, he is so special to me. Cito was so special to me. I would tell you I had a pitching coach. Listen, I had all great coaches, and and it's when you start picking and this and that, but Cito arguably is probably number one. I had a pitching coach by the name of Dave Duncan that literally helped me, pivot my career. And, I'm not a person of any kind of regrets, look backs and this and that, but one thing, I love the city, the organization, the championship so much that I wish I would have been, if I had one wish, I wish I could have been the complete pitcher that I was in St. Louis and Texas and Arizona. I wish I could have been that complete pitcher in Toronto for the Blue Jays and their fans, because I was at a place in my career with Dave Duncan from 1995 on that every time I took the mound, I felt like I was going to win the game. And I would tell you, I didn't have those same feelings even though our teams were better in Toronto, but I was like my maturity level as a pitcher was so much more superior when I got to Oakland working with Dave Duncan. He really helped me focus on the way I think throughout a ball game, and it really was a pivot to my deal. So Cito Gaston, Dave Duncan they're right there.
Excellent. I have a question from Jackie. Do you have a process for setting goals?
I do. That's a whole masterclass in itself. I try to keep it simple. The second I set a goal, the second question I ask myself is, who's going to help me hit it? So I want you to think about it, whether it's personal goal, professional goal, doesn't matter. So it's like, for an example, let me give you something simple to work from. Let's say I was going to set a fitness goal. So who's going to help me? Now, some goals, it's going to be just all you, okay? But let's say you're going to set a fitness goal. Well, it's like, who's going to help me? So should I hire a trainer to make sure I get an accountability to getting all my workouts in, right? Is my spouse going to be the person that holds me accountable? But it's like, the second I set a goal, I want to know who's going to help me hit that goal. Now watch what happens. I'm going to take it to a next level. As the leader, what I'm going to do, let's say that my team is going to help me hit that goal. Now, what I want to do is help my team make goals for themselves in that little pocket or sleeve. So if they hit their goal, they help me hit my goal. It becomes a multiplier, right? After I break it down, just like I talked about, it's like, what's going to get in the way of me hitting the goal? What are the roadblocks, obstacles? What are the enemies? What's out there? What can I identify today? As I move closer to the goals, new enemies are going to show up, new obstacles, new challenges. But I pick the goal, who's going to help me hit the goal, identify the enemy, then the behaviors. What are the 3 things to 5 things that I have to do every single day, staying laser focused on those and making sure I hit the days? because they're just bite-sized pieces to help me hit the big object.
Right.
Now, there's something that I train, and I'm not going to be able to today, man. I wish I could give everything you guys did, but there's a thing that I call, when I have a goal, a target, a dream. So here it is, today's day one, or here I am, and here's the goal. Look between my two fists. There's a gap. And I do this training on the gap. See, because I try to tell everyone, everything's possible, only the impossible hasn't been done yet. So don't let anyone ever tell you you can't accomplish something. You can. But between you setting the goal and achieving the goal, you're going to go through the gap. And inside that gap is called hell. You're going to go through other people's opinions. You're going to go through struggles. You're going to go through setbacks. You're going to get to a place where you're like, man, I feel like I can't get past the wall. You're going to go through all, I call it going through the crap in the gap. You're going to go through it all. But here's the beauty of it. When you get there, it's not about hitting the goals. It's the person you became in order to hit the goal. And as you go through all of these things, you just start becoming more and more, and you start creating more value for the people around you. You start to become a better person of service. So it's my process, just so you know, I start in November, and I get done usually the last week of December, and I take, I don't know if I can turn and do this right. Hold on a second. So I'm working on a goal inside a goal right now. So I start breaking it down on this sheet. So this sheet is those big easels, and then I tear them off, I stick them on my wall. You get to the last week of December, if you walk into my house, all you're going to see all over my office and master bedroom is these sheets. And here's what I break down: the 8 forms of wealth. I break down my health and fitness, my spirituality, my personal development, my lifestyle, my relationships, my family, my business and career, and my finances. And those are the headers at those. And then I say, okay, what are my targets for each one of those sections? Okay, now who's going to help me? And sheets go into sheets. And then about the last week of December, now I have my plan ready to go. Let me warn you. It's not always going to work out, even when you plan it appropriately. I showed my kids this about a year ago December. So my father passed away a year ago, January. One of my goals prior to my dad's death that I made in December, what I wrote in the family section was time with dad. My father passed away January 13th, the next month. See, and I told my kids, I said, listen, when I wrote time with dad, I meant fishing. I meant good times. But here's what's unbelievable. I got the gift to spend every hour with my dad his last week. That's a gift. That when I wrote time with dad, I didn't mean a week in the hospital. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean until his last breath with my left hand on his heart and my right hand on his head. That's not what I meant. But I would tell you that time with dad was in that week, as it turns out, was the most special gift. And I would tell you that if you would have told me prior to that, I'd have been like, that's not a gift. Like, that sucks, man. What do you mean my dad's going to die? I'm going to be there for one. That sounds terrible. It was a gift. Because I was in a place and I had a grateful heart for his life, for his fatherhood, for his brotherhood, for his mentorship, for him being my coach, for him being my best friend, for a legacy that he left behind for me to pick up and try to follow. So it's not going to work out perfectly every time. So we should do goal setting, whatever. We'll figure all this out. Listen, you guys will find out, connect with me. You'll find out, like, you know, I do these things with, you know, with companies and this and that. We become lifelong friends, man. And I always tell people, I say, listen, just try it. Try the 4 questions at night. Try the morning routine. By the way, you might come up with a better question than I ever came up with. And then you can teach me, and I'd be happy to take it. You know, that's the whole idea of brotherhood and sisterhood and unity and the human beings of being one and trying to help one another instead of trying to attack one another. So it's like not one shoe fits all, man. So, but go ahead, sir.
All right. No, right on. I have a question from John Warlow, and it relates to coaching, and it relates to coaching family. And this is something that happens, of course, in sports, but it also can relate to the business world as well, where it's a family business run. But Todd also has a 15-year-old son. He's curious about what you found most challenging coaching TJ as a 15-year-old. And do you struggle with seeing him maybe distracted by social media? And do you have any tricks to share about getting TJ to absorb and act on your messages?
Yeah. Well, so good. First of all, gaming. All the different gaming online, right? I didn't grow up with that, right? And but you know, my son and all of his buddies, and whether it's guys on his team or people at school, whatever it is, they're all gaming. And one of the things I try to do with my son is I try not to tell him what he needs to do or has to do. Now, I'm talking from a coaching standpoint, not a father standpoint, because I play dad when I need to play dad. I lay the law. But, see, my father never pushed baseball on me, and I never want to push baseball on him, okay? Now, usually you do the opposite of what your father did to you. So if your father didn't push you, you become the pusher to your kid. Actually, my father was just such an incredible role model. I was like, you know what? That worked for me. And that's how I do it for him. Now, yeah, gaming, social media, there's so many distractions. It's unbelievable. So I ask my son questions that he has to come up with an answer besides yes or no. This is how, listen, if you ask your son or daughter, they come home from school and say, how was school? What are they going to say? They're going to say good or bad. They're going to say good, one word answer, good, bad. I try to ask my son questions where the answer can't be good or bad. He actually has to put a sentence together. Okay? So it's funny, I asked him, I said, son, what do you think about, like, what do you want to do? Like, you know, I mean, he loves baseball. And I say, well, what do you want to do with it? And he'll say, like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, where do you want to go with it? Like high school, college, pro? He goes, well, Dad, I want to play in the major leagues. I said, you do? And he says, yeah. And I said, well, will you be okay if I give you a game plan that could help you? Yeah, he wants it. So I teach my son the game of math. Repetition, mother of mastery. How many ground balls can you take? How many swings can you take? How many times can you be, you know, and I tell him, I said, look, it's a game of math. If you take more ground balls than anyone else, you got a chance to be better than everyone else, right? So I say, son, it's a game of math. So we chart it and this and that. during the virus, we were going to a nearby field, just me and him. And it's like, there were weeks where he was taking 500 ground balls a week, 14 years old. And I tell him, I said, son, you got the best hands. I said, you got better hands at 14 than Derek Jeter had at 18. And he's like, come on, Dad. I said, no, I'm serious. I played against him when he was 18. I said, you got better hands at 14. I said, but that's not the question, son. He says, Dad, what's the question? When you're 18, will you have as good as hands as he did at 21? I said, because at 21, he was an all-star shortstop. See, because from 18 to 21, Derek Jeter was taking hundreds of ground balls every single day. But at 18, he wasn't very good. I said, son, you see, it's a game of math. So I try to give him in coaching, I try to give him examples. Here's what I don't do. I don't tell you got to do this. Just like I would never tell you or anyone else, hey, if you want to be successful in business, you have to do this. No, we can find a different way to win. You see, so I try to present things that if he wants to take his baseball to a different level, here's some things he could apply. Now, here's what's funny about this. He comes to me almost daily. Dad, ground balls? Dad, let's go work off the tee. Let's go work on my swing. Almost daily. And when he comes to me as a father, I'm like, yeah, even if I'm in the middle of work and I do a lot of work from home, I call timeout because when my son wants to play ball, I never want to be that father that says, son, I don't have time right now, or wait until I get my work done, and then not be my word when I get my work done that we actually go do it. So I have to make a sacrifice and commitment to make sure when he's got time, I got the time. So it's kind of the opposite because, you hear about so many stories and about so many dads, and it's like, and the kids go to them and it's like, I'm busy, I'm work. I don't want to be that dad, man. It's like, I want to be the dad to help my kid fulfill whatever dreams he has by being an encourager, an influencer of information, not the know-it-all. I don't want to be the know-it-all, which is why I allow him to have his own baseball coaches, and then I'm here, the supporting cast. So I could go on with this, but it's like, there's a lot of distraction. I try not to worry too much about it. It's like, look, kids are on social media and this and that. Look, at the end of the day, until we run this for 10 to 20 years, we're not going to even know what did it really mean to them. Like, we don't know the answer because we didn't grow up with it. And because we didn't live it, we can't say it's good, bad, or indifferent. How do we know? I mean, how do we know? So, but I will tell you that, yes, he's normal. He's 15, normal distractions, social media, the gaming, and all the stuff. He likes to do a lot of things. He's well-rounded. We're not driving baseball down his throat in this household. I'm encouraging him when he wants to do something. So,
hey, Todd, I always think too that, in the workplace, if people are going to be distracted, they're going to be distracted. People would say to me, like, are you okay with your staff having their phones on during the day, posted to social media or whatever? I mean, ultimately, if they're going to be distracted, they're going to be distracted. Yeah. If they're delivering what they need to deliver by the end of the day, we're good to go, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to try and combine a couple of questions, 2 or 3 questions here for you. Besides, you're working on a book. What's your new vision and dream, and what's your 2020 season going to look like?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in August for me, and here we are in August. This is double down. So growing up in the baseball world, August was always known as the dog days. And how you perform in August, a lot of times that performance either allowed you to make it to the playoffs or not. August was always a big month, right? And it was a big momentum month. I would tell you that right now I'm doubling down. So if, like, for an example, we're actually launching a new company, believe it or not, right in the middle of this. I'm launching a new fund. It's a very specific fund. It's for a specific reason that I won't go into all the details. of that fund, but we're launching that this month. We have a lot of companies. I've been blessed. I would tell you that I was like everyone else in 2008, 2009. The economy killed us, but I have rebuilt, and I have a great team of people, and we have a private equity fund with, I don't know, what do we got, 8 or 10 companies in it, and some of them we operate. A couple of them we manage. Most of them we oversee and consult, and we, help them with their plans and this and that. I'm lucky. I feel blessed that we started a company actually in January. Believe this or not, that is knocking on the door of $1 billion valuation 8 months later. So we're blessed. But there's, I also believe there's reasons, there's processes that allow these opportunities, to show up. So, but August is my double down month. So whatever you're doing, whatever you want to accomplish, and if you look back to the beginning of the year and you said, hey, this is what I want to accomplish, don't let the virus be the reason you didn't accomplish it. I'm not saying it won't be the reason. That's not what I'm saying. I want to make sure we're all clear here. I'm not saying it's not going to have anything to do with it. Don't sell out to that, though. Don't let that be the winner of your mind. I want you to battle-proof your mind. I want you to double down right now. Maybe you're still not going to work. Maybe you're working from home. Find new ways, new strategies, and double down in August. And because what will happen is then the momentum shows up in September all the way into the holidays. So this is the month. This is a very, very important month to create momentum if you don't have it. And if you do have momentum, not to take it for granted, because we all know, look, when government shut business down, what happened? Dead stop. Look, we don't know things can happen. Don't take it for granted, man. Stop pounding yourself on the chest and patting yourself on the back, and put your right foot on the gas pedal, the one all the way to the right. Put it on the floor and double down right now. This is the time to double down. I don't know if I answered the question, but it's kind of like, look, if I get to November, usually the fourth quarter, I'll never start a new business or a new thing, because I just want to close. Now, I'm not saying I might not start planning for a new business, but I don't want to launch it in October or November. So if I'm planning a new business, I won't start it in October. No, maybe I'm going to start it in January, February. I might start planning it in October, November, but I'm going to close fourth quarter hard, right? And I'm going to close the fourth quarter hard because of what I did in August to create that momentum. So I have different type. I call it the 4 seasons to your championship life. October, November, December is not where I build or start something new. It's generally where I reflect, rejuvenate, so I prepare to work hard. See, I have a belief. Now, I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent, and someone could say, oh, that's wrong, and I'll compete against you. And I'm like, yeah, I understand. I believe I can work 6 months a year, but when I work, it's all out. And in that 6 months, I believe I can do 1.5 years, 2 years worth of work, because I'm not going to have the distractions. I'm not interested in the conversation at the water cooler. But at the same time, we're building and running teams and companies and overseeing them. So I'm not in the typical workplace. So I want to be fair to that too. So I know some people got to be like, hey, I got to be there at 9. They don't let me leave at 2. Like, you can leave it. I understand. I'm just saying that if that was me today, I would take from whatever time until noon and make that your most important projects. No distractions. Go head down. Then go to lunch and then do all your water cooler stuff in the afternoon. Like, I have a hard time having a serious meeting at 3, 4 o'clock. Because most people they're only thinking about going home. I'm thinking about shutting it down. I don't want to be working then either. So I know what they're like. So I try to, from 9 to noon, I try to crush those hours. I don't know if any of this is helping.
No, it's all very helpful. Hey, you've been very generous with your time, Todd. There's more questions. You have time for just a couple of more,
Yeah,
and then
man,
we'll
let's
wrap
do
it
it.
up.
Fire
All
away.
right. One from Daniel Van Kempen. I lost it here just a second. How do you manage to balance your professional life, your personal life, spirituality, and your family?
So that question excites me so much because, look, I've been the buyer of my old mentality of you got to be completely out of balance. You got to sacrifice everything in order to be the best at anything. I used to believe that. I have a hard time believing that today. And because I've learned and I reflect and I understand. So how do I do it? I'm going to give you one word, and I want to challenge you to go do the work on this word. Presence. Wherever you are, be there. Most people at work are talking about vacation. Most people on vacation are talking about work. Wherever you are, just be there. Don't take let me tell you, I don't remember who said this, but it's like, I was like, wow, that's so awesome. Don't go into your home at night after work. Make sure you don't walk through that door with your dirty feet. What that means is don't you dare take that work inside that house. There's a spouse and there's children that they don't deserve your dirty feet. And if you're not ready to walk through the door, take a walk in the neighborhood until you are literally, someone says framing on my wall. I don't know who said it, but that's genius. And the point is, wherever you are, be there, be present. But don't bring baggage from some other problem, some other place to where you are. This is how I stay in balance. When I work, look, when I'm working, people know I'm working because I'm not distracted. I don't allow distraction. Matter of fact, when I go to the gym, I'm known at our gym as the guy who doesn't talk. Because and I have friends there and they'll be like, hey, Todd. And I'm like, no. Call me for coffee. I got 30 minutes. I ain't got time for that. Now, and they know it and I do it respectfully, so I'm not an ass. But I'm just saying, it's like wherever I really focus, and I learned this from my wife, by the way. I was on a 10-day road trip. I'll make it really quick. I was on a 10-day road trip. I came home from work and I went to the dinner table. All of my kids, my wife, they prepared a special meal for me. I've been on the road. I was stupid enough to take this to my dinner table. I set it down. It rang. My business partner, who I'd been on the road with for 10 days, we were working on some deals. I said to my wife, this will only take a minute. I got up from the head of the table. I walked into my office. I was on the phone. 1 hour went by. I was so distracted in the conversation of business. I came back to my dinner table. No one was there. 5 kids gone. My wife comes in, sets my plate down. She goes, it was a lot better when it was hot. And I was like, wow. And I took a couple bites. I was like, no, this is awesome. And here's what my wife said to me. She goes, I wish you would have stayed on the road. I was like, what? She goes, I wish you would have stayed on the road. I go, you're not happy I'm home? I go, oh, and she goes, oh no. We couldn't wait for you to come home. Except you haven't come home yet. And she goes, those 5 kids were so excited. And they planned your dinner. And they've eaten and gone, don't you think they know you haven't come home? I was like, wow. That hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm going to tell you something. Since that night, and I misspoke, it was 4 kids at the time because it was a handful of years ago. It wasn't our 5th. It was the 4 kids. But here, I misspoke on that. But here's what I will tell you. Since that night, I have been teaching presence since then. And it opened up a whole new world of being in balance for me. So Sundays, I'll give you an example. You cannot reach me. You can't text me, I'm not answering. You can't email me, it's not going to help. You can't call me, I'm not going to answer. It's my family day. Nothing gets in the way of Sunday family day. We go to church together, we have barbecues, we do our thing. I date my wife every single week. Let me remind you, if you're married, whatever you don't feed dies. You dated your spouse before you got married. You better be dating your spouse after you get married. So it's like, if you don't feed your relationships, you don't feed your spouse, you don't feed your children, if you don't feed your health and fitness, whatever you don't feed dies. But presence is my way to balance.
One last question, Todd, and it's one of my questions because there's other questions in the chat area, but I've got control, so I can do this.
There you go, boss. You deserve it. You deserve it.
You know what? It's often said that baseball catchers make the best coaches or managers. Why is that? And how do we identify those attributes in our employees and promote them into positions where they become good coaches and mentors and managers?
So one of the things about a catcher is he has a different view. You know, he's the only guy on the field that is actually working directly with the pitcher. So as a manager, not only do you got to manage all the guys in the game and this and that, one thing that is so important is managing a pitching staff. And because a catcher is used to managing a pitching staff because that's what they do. And they're also an everyday player and have to go hit and they have to go through the wars and all of that. So they know and understand all those other aspects. But they understand something the center fielder doesn't know. How to work with that pitcher. How to work with the game with that pitcher. The psychology. Look, a catcher a lot of times has to be a psychologist when he goes to the mound. Guess what a manager has to be with your team? Sometimes they've got to be a psychologist. Hey, listen, if you're a great leader, you're the person who encourages. I look for people on the team who's encouraging, who's got a positive attitude, who's encouraging other, who's not taking all the credit, who's edifying someone else saying, hey, listen, look what they did. By the way, that's going to be my leader. That's the one that's going to develop in the leader. Someone that's got a much bigger or wider perspective than just themselves. You know, it's like, who's going to promote the team instead of, listen, you got to, let's say you got 3 or 4 people working on a project and I come up with a great idea and the other guys are like, wow, Todd, like you're a genius. And I'm like, yeah, you know, and then I go to the person above me and I say, I got a great idea. And I sell them on me. That's not the person I'm not looking for me then in that case. I want to go to the superior and say, listen, our team developed a strategy. We'd love for you to take a look at it. See, the team. See, I position myself with the team, with the Warriors. Look, I always tell people, Jesus washed feet. What's your problem? I don't want to go there, but I'm just saying, you know, it's like so many leaders today, I want to tell them, get off the pedestal and get on the playing field. You lead people based on what you do, not based on what you say. And I have this whole training on leadership where it's about personal leadership, where the question I always ask everyone, would you follow you? Would you follow your routines, your rituals? Would you follow your habits? When no one's watching, would you still proud of that person? You'd still follow that? Whatever you do, the test of your character when no one is watching, would you follow you? You know whether you would follow you or not. Do you want to build a team of people like you? cutting corners, this and that, when no one's watching, when the superior's away, it's like feet are up on the desk, breaking all the rules. Listen, here's my question is, will you follow you?
That's a great question. Great way to end this session, Todd. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all of this wonderful information and being so generous with your time with us tonight. This wraps up the 7th edition of the 1855 Masterclass. I have to tell you, Todd, as we do wrap up, I would feel remiss if I didn't say thank you again for bringing the 2 World Series championships to our community. You know, I had the good fortune, my wife and I, in '92, of being able to attend every playoff home game, every World Series home game. And in fact, we sat in the Sky Dome for Game 6, which of course was played in Atlanta, and had the opportunity to spill out onto the streets after that. And I still, you know, we carry that joy and that excitement today, and I get goosebumps even talking about it. So thank you for all that you did for us this evening, and thank you for your contributions back in '92 and '93 as well. Do you have any final words you'd like to share with us?
I would just say I appreciate it. I got to tell you, I was such a small part of that whole thing. It was a dream for me. I get goose, man. I just got them. Matter of fact, you did that to me, but it was like, I remember pulling out of the stadium in '93, and obviously after Joe hits that home run, and you know what's funny is I was warming up in the bullpen, so I think I was the only guy that didn't actually see Joe hit a home run live. I had to watch it on TV, but oddly enough, but I remember pulling out of the state. You couldn't move, and people were smiling. It was so amazing how that city and that country came together. I will say this. I'm an avid fan, and I got to tell you, I love the youth and some of these guys that they put together there in Toronto, and I believe they got the makings of another winner. And I got to tell you, I look forward to celebrating that next World Championship. You know, even from afar, I'm rooting for them. So I know a couple of times they've been close and get into the playoffs, but I think they got the makings of a winner there, and I'm hopeful for that. And you know, I think on my takeaway is, don't, you know, look, you got a chance to be whatever you want to be, go for it. You got a chance to be whatever you want to be. You got a chance to perform at whatever level you want to perform. Look, we're all unfinished. And if there's one takeaway I would give you, it's like, never arrive. And what I mean by never arrive is like, don't claim master, man. It's like, have that a never arriving mindset that says, what can I learn? What can I get out of this? And I would tell you that my 5-year-old, I want you to think about this. My 5-year-old teaches me something new every single day. If that's the case, then I know your colleagues can teach you something, even if you're the superior. Because my 5-year-old is teaching me every single day how to be curious again, how to have courage, how not to care about what other people think. So I would tell you 2 things: study children, and go find the oldest person you know and go ask them questions and learn from them. Those 2 perspectives. So God bless everyone, man. I love this. I love the opportunity, and I really appreciate all of you. And, you know, until next time, man, stay safe and unite. All right. Don, thank you so much.
Thank you again. And I don't know about everybody else, but I got a lot of homework, and it's going to start tonight when I lay my head down on the pillow. And I'm going to start by asking those 4 questions of myself and coming up with some good answers. I want to thank you again, Todd. I want to thank all of the attendees for participating and providing some questions. I want to remind everyone of Todd's very generous offer that his book is available at no cost at toddofficial.com. And we're all going to look for your next book as well. And also, everyone, you know, I want you to bookmark 1855masterclass.com for future thought leadership sessions presented by 1855. The next one is taking place on September the 30th. And I want to thank Stephanie and everyone at 1855 for this opportunity for myself this evening. With that, everyone take care and God bless.
Take care, guys.